Speck and I welcome back to the Impassioned Caregiver. I love hearing the little crunch, crunch, crunch. So the following 3 cases are labeled 3 through 5, and they were part of the original Revolt review, but were edited out for clarity and flow. They have good bits of info, so I plopped them right here in this section before the standard what you should know. Case number 3. I was referred out of my insurance network to a prominent rheumatologist who I'll call Dr. H for a second opinion to help figure out what was wrong with my brain. Dr. H, don't you worry. You've come to the right place. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. You relax. I'll do my job. A couple weeks later, I was dumped by email, no less, with a quick, I'm not sure what's going on with you. Maybe you need to go to a lupus center like John Hopkins. It's friggin' across the country. Like, some people have that access, but not everyone does. I later found out this is what the business department tells the doctors to say to patients when the patient's insurance will only pay for a consult, but no follow-up. Yes, it's frustrating. Insurance companies only pay for one visit. I didn't know that. It's not my fault. It was even more frustrating when months later, after I switched insurance companies, I got a letter from the original one stating I could have gone for one more visit. I feel my nightmare was an example of what Montori speaks about when the system discourages patients by making access to care torturous. We want and must fight for careful patient care. It begins with noticing. Ironically, this is the success of charlatans. They listen actively. Citation in the comment. Case 4. After the previous events, I needed an in-network rheumatologist. The first visit started off similar to other specialists I've seen recently so I always handed them a summary, which I created, of my medical history. And it's actually a couple pages, but it has every drug, every test, because I got sick so young and I wanted to keep track of it. And when I originally got sick, there weren't, my chart or other medical records. So I had to keep it, and I actually kept all the paperwork. So when I made this spreadsheet, I went through all the old paperwork and read some handwritten notes. It was a good resource to have. So I also had a summary of my blood marker, so we could easily go and see when there was activity, when things were stable. I'll call this gentleman Dr. Q. He says, I like complicated cases. The time goes by and he states, we need a follow-up so I can review your paperwork. At the follow-up visit with my husband in tow, it goes much differently. The doctor says, where are the records you told me about? I never got them. I gave you the summary last time. That's all I have, I respond. The records from New York, when you were a patient, he responds, quite annoyed. I'm getting annoyed. I don't have records from my hospitalization. They were paper and they were stolen. Now, as you can imagine, I get the, I think you're crazy look. What I have, I gave you, doctor. You told me you were going to read them. You told me you liked complicated cases. He responds, I never got them. I want to be compliant. What is it? I don't know if it's a woman's thing or what, but I'm just still thinking, maybe this doctor can help me. I'm going through so much. I want an answer. So I respond kind of weakly. We'll drop off another copy. And as you know, you've seen in the press, so many women are not taken seriously by male doctors. So Dr. Q says, okay, we'll talk again. At my third appointment, he says, I had those papers after all. What do you need? What do I need? I need a doctor who trusts me. This one certainly doesn't fit the bill. Most people with unglamorous chronic conditions that cause pain or insomnia or cause dysfunction which cannot be medically explained or surgically fixed will find themselves discarded. These patients clog the pipeline. The healthcare industry feels the patients who bring in the dollars are more worthy of the care than others. It was a really disappointing experience. Now we're going into case 5. So as you know from the previous vlog, my husband needed spinal cord surgery. So at the first consult, the neurosurgeon states, this is rare. Maybe I do one once a year. We won't know if it's cancer until it's out, and it could leave you paralyzed. Scary. Second consult, there's no one qualified to operate on you here. You need to go to someone who, this is all they do. After a long time on hold listening to this call may be recorded, you know what I mean, you call the insurance company, you are on a recorded line, I get an insurance representative, company will not be named, who says, of course, you are covered. Go to that specialty clinic. Me. Do we need a referral or a letter from you? No, replied the agent on the phone. For good measure, I call another time before deciding that the Midwest Center can do what is needed for my husband. After a consult is booked, but before buying a plane ticket, I call yet again. I am told, yes, your husband's surgery is considered in network at that clinic. Fast forward to Minnesota in August. Amazing thunderstorms each afternoon. It's scary to carry an umbrella, but my husband can barely walk because of the tumor and I don't want him to get drenched. A wheelchair puts him in too much pain. I don't, if he caught a cold by getting soaked by the thunderstorm, the surgery could be delayed. It feels like getting struck by lightning might actually improve our circumstances. You know that feeling I've talked about before. You just go down that rabbit hole of darkness and you can't really see the light in the moment and you're just feeling bleak and blah. It's natural. So we have testing. We meet doctors. More testing. We can schedule your visit in 4 days, they tell us. I left my husband on the bench so he could get some air while I went back to our hotel room. My cell phone rings. It's the insurance company saying there may be a problem. What kind of problem? I say as my voice goes up an octave. There's an issue with approval, says the voice on the other end of the phone. Oh no, you don't you dare try and pull this. I called repeatedly. A voice interrupts. Yes, we've listened to the tapes, but what? I yell. You don't have to yell. I'm going to hang up now, she responds, yelling louder, and I'm not proud of that. Well, before you hang up, you have your supervisor call me back. The door opens. My husband looks devastated. Was he listening outside the door or just in pain from trying to retain some independence? He whispered, they want $50,000. Who? I say. The clinic, otherwise they're canceling my surgery. What? I say. That's how much they estimate the surgery will cost if insurance will not pay. How did I manage to fail him? I thought this was all handled. I try and calm down, but it was impossible. But I took a moment and nonchalantly said, between our credit cards, I think we have it covered. If not, I can call to see if they'll raise our limits. Can you imagine that? In that moment, thinking like, how the F are we going to figure this out? How are we going to pay? I can't remember what I was working at the time, like if we could like up our limits on the cards. So healthcare continually thwarts any hope of making illness and treatment elegant parts of a person's life. Quote from Dr. Victor's book. The insurance supervisor does call back, surprisingly. She sounds really uncomfortable. Quote, we listened to each recording of you calling in about this procedure. Each time you were told incorrect information. Honestly, I don't remember what I did or said next. Sometime later, a three-way call is initiated, which includes my cousin who works in healthcare, along with Ms. Insurance Supervisor. I'll call her Ms. IS. Here's a brief summary. My cousin is calmly stating, quote, you admit they were lied to, so how do we make this surgery happen? Ms. IS. Silence. Cousin. You and I both know that you can write this whole surgery off. Ms. IS. I feel for them. Cousin. How would you feel if this were your family? Ms. IS. Silence. It actually sounds like she's crying. There's a long pause. Then she says, I'll take the surgery off hold. It'll go through, but they will be billed full price. When they get back home, they need to appeal. They must request the recordings. Each recording will have a specific number. Needless to say, I think you know what I'm going to say. No one would release the recordings to us. But after many phone calls to the insurance company, along with threats to call our state attorney general's office, the insurance did pay. But what an experience to go through, all while he's healing. It was so traumatic, and in my opinion, unnecessary. It put an unnecessary burden on both of us. So Dr. Montori argues, when sufferers remain other than, it is easy to make tough decisions. It turns into the blame game. Quote, the patient didn't fill out the form on time, and that's why you get a denial. Gosh. I know the insurance was not United Healthcare. So thank you for listening to our trials. Thank you for watching. We're going to see you next time. Hugs from Spec and the Impassioned Caregiver.